Hey, everybody, welcome in. It's Tuesday and it's a great day. And this is where we talk about all the stuff that we see going on. So, thank you for joining. Really happy that you can all make it. And I'm very grateful every day that people turn up, especially all the regulars. So, let's jump in. It's all about OCTA, on chain technical analysis, and are we in a crypto recovery? What do we see in the tea leaves and in the charts? Let's jump in. Math, money, and freedom, not financial advice. And the story today is a whole bunch of stuff. We're actually going to talk about a little bit of the stock market too, earnings seasons. We're going to talk about some of the swaps I did, why I did them, look at Fantom, Luna, Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin, a whole bunch of on-chain, and that's it. Let's go. So first of all, I think you guys like the good, the bad, and the ugly structure too. So I try and identify what the good news is out there for the week, the bad, and the really ugly. And you can tell it's a really ugly week when there's a lot of ugly news, but it's only one little piece today, so that's a good sign. Now, first of all, we have a very green day. Everything is doing really, really well all across the board. We've got a couple of dark greens as well. We have Solana, Luna, and Near Protocol. I was looking at Near yesterday. Instead, I bought Fantom. So enough of that. So let's talk about some of the other great news. Silvergate customers deposited 14.7 billion in crypto in Q1. Now, for those of you who may not know, these guys, Silvergate, typically represent companies like MicroStrategy, etc. And they have brought on a ton of traction over the last couple of quarters. But that is massive. $15 billion in crypto represents institutional assets. Remember I said the big money, institutional money is coming? It's here. But it's not reflected in the Bitcoin price. So why is it being suppressed and where are we going from here? Let's go and see. In other good news, Australia, excuse me, Australia have their first Bitcoin spot ETF listing next week, which is big, while the SEC in the United States want to protect American customers. Strange. But there is a top analyst at Bloomberg, and they believe late 2022, early 2023, or mid 2023 at the latest, we will have a spot ETF in the US. So it's only a matter of time as to when they actually launch. Let's look at some of the option action. As you know, we like to check in on this. Here you see the put call ratio 0.69, still bullish, still big price predictions for 50K. And we'll talk a bit about that 50K number and are we in a heavy recovery? We have a couple of new bets coming in at the 80K level as well. And all of that is good and positive. This is where the big money plays. Now, this is interesting. Reddit anticipated the crypto recovery according to sentiment. If you look here at the middle line, I've highlighted with a big red arrow saying Reddit. This is what they saw coming, and a huge amount of buzz over the last 4 to 6 weeks about buying calls on crypto and Bitcoin, and they were right. So fascinating to see how social sentiment can actually be on the ball. And large call option activity was driven by this group, like we just saw on the previous slide. And they have a much higher ratio of buy calls over the last 6 weeks than ever before. So that's Reddit news. Let's talk about correlations from Arcane. This is a cool thing. We're going to dig into the Dixie in a minute as well. But these are the correlations between gold, NASDAQ, and Dixie. And we're looking more and more at correlations because it's important to look at. So Bitcoin's correlation is climbing, while gold and the Dixie are increasingly negatively correlated as obviously hawkish policies are on everybody's lips. Hawkish policies means interest rate rising environment. Now, the broad financial markets are in an odd state at the moment. Nobody really knows where to go, but we'll talk about the stock market in a minute. Now, the 30-day correlation to tech stocks has climbed to highs not seen since July 2020. I think I covered a while ago. And Bitcoin's correlation to gold has plunged to all-time lows. Woohoo! That's interesting. So, is Bitcoin digital gold, or is it something completely different, or just far better than gold? We'll see. Now, let's talk about some of the big, large investors. This is from Material Indicators, and they saw a huge increase in short-term activity from large Bitcoin investors. They pumped 60 million into the market in the last 24 hours. You can see here in this chart, investors with bid orders of around 100,000 in purple, 10,000 in red, and $1,000 in green are buying into the Bitcoin's price action, which is good. But we know we saw Wallet 3, they bought 1,000 Bitcoin in the last 24 hours, and it might be included in those numbers as well. Now let's talk about this one. This is kind of a interesting, again, from Arcane Research. If you look at the Bitcoin daily volume, it's actually really, really low. This is back to the July 2021 lows. And some people say this is dull, this is flat. Some people see this as the calm before the storm. And when market action currently resembles, again, the 7-day average during the summer doldrums we saw a year ago, well, 9 months ago, and the trading volume is around 3 billion, which is a little lackluster. So the drowsy volume, some people believe, is normally accompanied by unusually low volatility. And we just had a holiday as well, an Easter holiday, so maybe that's part of it too. So wait and see. But typically what happens is there's a calm period of time right before a big move upwards. Now let's talk about some of the bad news that we see. First of all, fear and greed is still at 27. It was at 20 last week. And the market remains more or less unchanged from last week, just up 7 points, which is nothing. But it is a fearful state. And there is very tight consolidation of Bitcoin around that 40K level. Now, low retail interest, shallow volumes, and a muted futures premium further confirm sentiment of the fear and greed being so low. But again, it's always low before it gets high. So we'll see. Now, this is a little bit negative too. Everything was bleeding last week. Digital asset investment products saw outflows totaling 97 million, nearly $100 million. Some people think that's not a lot, but that is substantial from these funds. And these funds are a very good indicator as to where the money is going, which assets are most popular, etc. So I like to look at it. Now, Bitcoin saw outflows of 73 million in the last week. Total month-to-date outflows 196 million. Which is strange because we just saw whales buying in the last 24 hours. Weekly volumes in investment products were almost half the year, at average at about 651 million, echoing the whole Bitcoin market where volumes are down 32% against this year's weekly average. And we are just totaling 11.5 billion in total on trust exchanges. Now, Ethereum, Solana, and Cardano all saw outflows last week too. Ethereum lost 27 million. And Cardano and Solana lost 0.7 million respectively, which is quite low. Still, the top inflows year to date are Bitcoin number 1, 145 million, and Solana 106 million. And the rest are just kind of mixed bags of different solutions. So that is, again, mixed, and that will go into the bad category. Let's talk about the ugly category. This is funny. This is an article from MarketWatch. And the title says, Ethereum leads the way as the largest cryptocurrencies post gains. And all they refer to is they talk about Ethereum, they talk about Polkadot, Uniswap, Doge, and XRP. So for some reason, leading the way, top performer, Ethereum 2.98% in pre-market trading. Very bizarre, because when you look at exactly what's happening, even just looking at the smart contract platforms, the layer ones, Near Protocol is the top performer, Terra number 2, Kusama number 3, Solana number 4, Elrond number 5, Fantom number 6, Avalanche 7, Sailor 8, Tron 9, Ethereum number 10. So I think whoever writes these journals, they must have a very limited watch list of things they look at. It's like, as usual, the quality of journalism is garbage out there in many rags. So let's look at some charts today. I'm going to skip that because that has a little error in it, but I'm going to talk about some exciting stuff, why I believe we could be in a recovery. So first of all, I always leave my lines on because I like to test myself. I don't change them. I don't tweak them. I don't move them around. But last week, I got a lot of flack for being so bullish at 39K. And it was because the 38K, the 39K area was full of bid orders, which proved a critical zone for the rebound. And my higher lows narrative continues, and I've been buying dips. I bought at 40K and I bought at 39K. And now we are above. Let me show the line again, the green line at the bottom. We are just above it. We just snuck our nose ahead of it right now. So hopefully it'll stay. That's around the $41,300 mark. Hopefully it'll stay up there. Now, this is super interesting. Crypto Rover posted this, and he believes we could be at 50,000 by the end of the week from Crypto Rover. I added his Twitter handle. He's got great stuff. It's posted in the middle. I hope he doesn't mind me bastardizing his charts a little bit, but it's at Rover CRC on Twitter. I also added a couple of green lines so you could train your eye on exactly what he's looking at, what you need to see. So basically, according to him, this is, he believes a very big pump is incoming. The average return for this type of 12-hour bullish divergence, which is what's on the chart here, is around 30%, which means after this bullish divergence, a difference between up and down between the green arrows on the RSI and the actual price chart, you will see typically we rally 30% after this happens, and we've done that for the last couple of times. So he's bullish for 50K. The options traders are bullish for 50K. I said we could hit 50K in April. It hasn't hit yet. There is a large sell wall at 48,000. Like I know there's a buy wall at 38 and 39,000. I know there's a big sell wall at 48. So it might be hard, but fingers crossed. It doesn't take much to move this market, especially with the low volumes and the tight supply, both over the counter and on exchanges. So let's talk about the dollar index. This ties back to the Arcane research piece above when we looked at Dixie correlations. And this is a chart that we put together of indicating the price action of Bitcoin on a log scale compared to the actual dollar index, which is the orange line. And you can see after a big Dixie rally, the Bitcoin price rallies. Also, the corollary is also true. After the Dixie tanks, Bitcoin then tanks afterwards, and on and on. So that's indicated, the tanking is indicated by the red arrow, and the rally is the green arrow. And again, we saw it in June 2020. We saw the big sell-off in summertime 2021. And right now we had a huge dollar index rally. And this is the third one of its kind over the last 5 years. So typically, it's only happened 3 times before. Every time it did happen, we rallied after the fact. So that's another piece of very bullish indicator that we see. Now let's talk about some of the action yesterday. I got rid of some Ethereum and swapped it for Solana, and I did the same for Luna as well. ETH to Luna, ETH to Solana, and it worked out very well. The Solana was up 12% on the last 30 hours, and the pair is up 4%, but I'm in, it's basically swapped out my Ethereum for Solana because I'm getting a little bit nervous. I still hold a lot of Ethereum, but I'm just shaking off a little bit right now. Luna, same thing. Luna's up an astonishing 25% in 33 hours. And every time, something about that 76 level over the past month or two, it's a very strong support level, and it's a very volatile beast. It just up, down, all across. So if you're patient, you can snag great entry points. And we saw that yesterday. It was also a coincidence that there was a lot of early selling in the morning. Things tanked. Maybe people are selling out of positions for tax reasons. I'm not sure. I don't think so, because nobody would leave it that late, would they? Anyhow, that's what happened. And then there was a huge rally from about 9 a.m. Pacific onwards. And that's where we are. So you can see here as well, Luna is exactly at the 50-day moving average at around $93, $94. And we should go to 110, 120. Luna also is the third largest stable coin by market cap. It just beat out BNB, which is now pushed back to number 4. That is extremely bullish as well. Now, I also swapped items like Cardano and Algorand for Fantom yesterday. Fantom I saw at $1.10. I was tempted to buy at $1.30 a few weeks ago. I didn't. I waited, patient, because we had that very strong support level at $1.10. It hit again. I think last time it hit was, I can't remember what it was a few weeks ago, but indicated here by this line, and grabbed some. And I was debating this one hard and fast inside my head. It's like, okay, Andre left. Address volume is falling. There's a couple of negative indicators we're looking at, but still, as a relative value compared to other layer ones, this is still a beast and a force to be reckoned with. We'll watch it carefully. We'll see if it becomes a keeper or just a speculative hold for till it gets to $2 or $2.50 or something. But we'll watch it carefully. But I thought at $1.10, crazy cheap. It's up 7.5% in 24 hours, which is good. Now, let's talk about the stock market for a second. The S&P 500 is rebounding very, very nicely. And I can't tell you, The amount of bearish sentiment I was on the receiving end of the last couple of weeks, shocking. Last week after I did this, people were going, you know what you're talking about, Bitcoin's going to 20,000, etc., etc. Stock market's going to tank, it's going to lose 90% of its value. It's like, no, there's just too much money. All the money has to go somewhere, it has to find a home. And the S&P 500 is rebounding very nicely. Here you see the history since the C19 drop in March 2020. And then the magnets are where I expected it to pull back. It did a couple of times. Again, I leave the stuff on the charts because I like to refer back to them over time. And the arrow on the right is when the invasion began on the 24th of Feb, 23rd, 24th when the stock market opened. And the rest is history. It's up about 8% since the bottom. It's not a big move, but it's grinding up like everything else, grinding up. And there's a lot of bifurcation in the stock market too. Bad names are getting clobbered. We'll talk about one of them in a minute. And good names are just going from strength to strength. So let's talk about Tesla earnings tomorrow. I do believe we'll hit $1,200 in the next 3 to 6 months. Just don't know when. It's currently at $1,022. Again, a nice little rebound. But with the earnings tomorrow, it could be a little bit weak. I do expect them to beat because they got production volumes out despite having Shanghai closed for 6 days. We'll watch it carefully. Now, there was a new price target from, and it's not a chart, but I have to show it to you. I had my original bull case price target in 2025 of 4,939 for Tesla. That price target has not changed. That's how I modeled it beneath. But ARK came out with a new 2026 price target of $4,600. So it's just above my 2025 price target. Again, extremely bullish. I know those in crypto might say, well, it's 1,000 now. That's only a 4.6x in 4 or 5 years, but it's still, that's a very, very good return in the traditional sense of the world. So we'll watch that carefully. Now, in other news, Google rallied. I touched on this last week. I said snipe zone on my chart exactly a week ago, and it's up about 115, 120 points since that time. So that is also a very strong level of support. And these are simple ways that you can just use charts to identify entry signals, identify support, multiple hits, boom, off to the races. In other news as well, just to illustrate the point of why I like hyper growth stocks, it's because they are recession proof. But when a name has any type of what I call shrinkage, slowdown in growth, and apparently I think Netflix lost 200,000 subscribers in the quarter, they get hammered. This is the Netflix chart. You can see here it's way below the 200-day moving average of 525. It's currently trading about 250, 255, and is down 66% in less than 150 days. So this is performing as badly as some really crappy tokens too. So there's risk out there. Make sure if you are investing in anything, make sure it has a solid business case and hyper growth. Any type of stagnation, the markets just punish really hard. So with that, everybody, bit of a casual OCTA day. A lot of bullish stuff, way more bullish stuff than negative stuff. There will be a sell wall at 48K for Bitcoin. There will be a lot of positive upward movement for Google and Tesla and all our favorite names. And, other things, Luna, Solana, Fantom, everything seems to be doing well. So hope you enjoy the show. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for the donations. Make the world a better place and help our furry friends. See you all tomorrow. Have a good night.